Is this your question, or is this Adrian Durham watching in the audience?
I couldn't possibly say. I don't think, but I think it's my question. Beautifully articulated by many people, I would say.
Go on.
But you said that England always come unstuck when they play a nation, a major nation.
I said a nation ranked above them in the rankings.
A major nation.
No,
basically.
I said a nation ranked above them in the rankings.
So you don't see the African champions as a major nation.
The African champions minus their best player?
Still the African champions who had been on a fantastic run until then.
It was a good victory, but they still haven't beaten a nation ranked above them.
So you
at
mean
the
a
World
European?
Cup.
You mean
Since
a European
2002.
nation?
No, I mean a nation ranked above them. The clue is in the question. Adrian can shake his head all he likes. You can
he's
shake your head,
absolutely right.
Darren, all that you like as well. What do you make of that poll? A lot of people have been voting over the course of the afternoon. Mauricio Pochettino, an Argentine, would be seen as maybe controversial in some quarters, but at the moment, he's coming out on top.
Listen, you talked about my position at a newspaper, and I think our position is to reflect what people think, but also to give the reasons for why we take the position that we do. And you look at the progress that this England team have made under Southgate, and you see that if you were to get another manager in, that would be based on tactics. But it wouldn't be based on all the other intangibles, all the other important things that contribute to a winning culture, a winning team, and a connection between the nation and the national team. And I think all those things are as important as results on the pitch, and that's where Southgate for me comes out on top.
Also, Andy, appointing an overseas manager, would that not undo a lot of the good work that's been done at St George's Park? Isn't that all about developing young homegrown coaches, somebody from within the FA system, as indeed was the case with Gareth Southgate?
Yeah, I think there's clearly a pathway there that has worked. I'm like Darren. I don't see Pochettino at all. I just don't get that one. He's clearly a gifted manager, but I don't see him. I don't see him elevating the England national team into any sort of area that Gareth can do. I really don't. I think Pochettino to me is still very much entrenched, I would think, in club management, and still has more to achieve, more to do. Gareth is a very capable international manager. I think he's perfect for the role. He's intelligent, he's smart, he plays the game when there are things that probably annoy him, things that he gets fed up about, but he gets his head down, gets on with it. He makes sure that everything he's doing it in the right manner, which is why I said there's a lot of other managers out there that could learn a lot from him. And the international management is so much different to club management. You cannot just all of a sudden rock up from a Premier League team and all of a sudden think that you're going to make a massive difference on the international arena with a group of players that you're only going to see 3 or 4 times a year, that you're actually only going to be on the training ground with probably for a couple of weeks a year, 3 weeks a year all in. It doesn't happen. And I don't think it's for everybody. International management, I don't think it is. It's why years ago in my era it was always managers that had done their league stint, and then all of a sudden it was for guys like Big Jack that had been around, and then all of a sudden they come in and they can enjoy it, the experience, without having the day-to-day grind which has worn them down over a 20-30 year period. But he's very different, Gareth. He's very different. It means a lot to him, that I do know. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I'm genuinely not sure whether he's going to hang around now. I wouldn't want to put any money on it either way. Genuinely, it would not surprise me one iota if in a week's time he said, "Do you know what? I've thought about it and I'm done."
Clearly, Gareth Southgate, Darren, isn't rushing into any call about his future. Did that sound like somebody who is committed and determined to stay on and lead England at the European Championship?
I don't think there's any doubt about his commitment and his determination. He's somebody who wants to maybe do the final thing, because everything else he's done and done superbly well as far as England is concerned. What that sounded like to me, and we've all been there as guys in a high pressure industry job, whether it's on the pitch, in production, in newspapers, he needs a break. He needs a rest. It's been a really intense period, really intense build-up. There's been a lot of politics before this tournament, before a ball was even kicked, and he's dealt superbly well with all of them. There was a moment in one of the press conferences before the start where the Iran head coach said, "Why are you asking me about politics? Ask Gareth Southgate." And then Gareth Southgate in his press conference said, I've had to deal with politics for the last 5 years. It's been intense emotionally, physically, and he needs a break. But I would say this, and you alluded to it earlier, Andy, sometimes there can be this insatiable desire for an A-list name, a big name.
We've been there and done that, haven't we?
A, we've been there and done that. And B, you look at some of the unheralded names. No one had even heard of Walid Regragui in charge of Morocco. Their run in this competition is outstanding. They have the best defensive record. He probably wouldn't even get anywhere near a Premier League job. But these are the people that kind of keep our feet on the ground. And you think of, I'd go back to Wales's run to the semi-final of the European Championship. Nobody would have given them a prayer of doing that when Chris Coleman first took over. But we have this obsession. Should it be a Tuchel, a Pochettino? Whereas the guy right under our noses, who is changing the culture, inspiring the players, nursing them through, backing the likes of, as you said, Andy, Harry Maguire and Raheem Sterling, where people would have dropped them, and gone with the prevailing wind, changed their reputation in the standing, sending them back to their club sides with a renewed image in the eyes of their fans and rival fans as well. I could sit here now and go for half an hour and telling you so many of the things he's done. And that's why, for me, absolutely I say stick with Gareth Southgate. The others are very capable managers, but you have one right under your nose who is doing the work. Don't look that particular gift horse in the mouth. Well,
we've got until 9 o'clock tonight for you to extol the virtues of Gareth Southgate, so I'm sure we're going to revisit this topic. But I'm delighted to say here at the Adidas Hub, we've been joined by Julien Laurens. It says on my script, Julien, smug French football journalist. I would suggest you're more of a relieved French football journalist.
Yeah, I mean, you can say semi-finalist of the World Cup.
Oh, he is smug.
Sorry, no, I'm sorry. I'm
relieved.
Because I have to be honest, I thought England were the better side, and I think the French boys acknowledged it as well. I thought you played really well, especially in that second half. Between the 45th and the 75th minute, England were on top. We were under pressure. If there's one thing I can say about Southgate, I thought he should have capitalised on that and maybe make a sub earlier than waiting for the 79th minute when you were 2-1 down to then start changing something. But I thought England, I can see the progression. I'm not the biggest fan of Southgate, I have to say, and there's still some things that I don't really understand. However, I can see the progress, and just for that reason, I would stick with him as well.
Yeah.
What is it you don't see, Julien? When you say there's things about him that you don't quite get, what is that?
Raheem Sterling last night, after spending 5 days in London, having to travel from Doha to London.
Should have been Rashford.
Deal with what happened, to his family, to his house, whatever it was, I don't know, coming back literally a day before the game.
Sure. And
then coming on for a game like that, where clearly, and he hardly touched the ball, I think. And Raheem is an amazing player, but surely I'm not sure how much mentally he was ready for this kind of game, this kind of pressure. When you were 2-1 down as well, you could have brought him on if 4-0 up, no problem. Yeah. Go and get some game time, get ready for the semi-final. I just thought there were other options on the bench who would have been better than Raheem at that time of the game last night.
Yeah, no, that I think that is a very fair point. I didn't get the Bukayo Saka one. I mean, I know, Alex, you said you felt like his race was run. I thought he had Hernandez left, right and centre. He had him like outside, inside, you name it. He had him all over the place. I would not have taken Bukayo Saka off at all. I would have had a couple more ball carriers on there. I'd have taken Jordan off, because just at the end of the game you're looking for someone with a little bit more at the top of the field. Jordan, I thought, played excellent. But I'd have put Foden maybe in behind Kane, had another couple of ball carriers, people that can go past people, go beyond them. If you look at Neymar's goal the other day against in that game against Croatia, brilliant moment in the game. Probably the first one for a while where we'd actually seen, particularly him, pick the ball up and go beyond his first man, go beyond his second man, little give and go on the edge of the box, round the goal he scores. You need something like that, Julien, to make the difference in those moments. And look, Gareth has got a strong bench. He's got such a strong bench that there's not always an obvious change, because there's lots of changes he could make. For you guys last night, for the French, I'm looking at. I know that Marcus Thuram has played a few games, but I'm seeing Kingsley Coman, and I'm thinking, who else comes on?
No, you're right.
There's no one else really he can do. That's all he can do. And whereas Gareth does have genuine options there, and I probably wouldn't have brought Mason Mount on. I probably wouldn't have done that.
Andy, is there a case for saying that, and you, Julian, that rather than asking should he go, should he shake up his backroom staff? Because you see in club level, you managers who they've had the same second voice behind them for a long time, and maybe they need someone who's older, somebody who's a bit wiser, more tactically astute. Because of that, what you've just suggested, Julian, and what you've been saying as well. Yeah. Somebody will say, look, I know you want to put Raheem on, you want to be loyal to him, but in this moment, has he got that dynamism? He has, just as you've just outlined, he's come long haul, he might want to be on, he might be hungry, but he's not in the right frame of mind. Go with this play, go with a Maddison, go with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. Listen, and we can all, we can all come up with our ideas and our reasons. Do I think it's something like that
just somebody older?
You can never. There's football managers always say, if you haven't got any money to spend, bring another member of staff in, because if you go to your chairman and you say I need some money to buy a player, and he says you can't have it, haven't got any, club hasn't got any money. Okay, give me another voice, give me another set of ideas, give me some more tools to work with these guys during the week and on match days for me. So I'm sure if Gareth wanted to go down that road, if he felt that there was something else that he could add in that respect, he'd be able to have it, no problem.
Julian, quick question. How is this victory being reported in France? What's the general feeling now, the French fans? Are England seen as a big scalp these days? Do they see that as a significant step back in France to retaining the World Cup?
Yeah, there was certainly the strongest test so far, and I think before there were mixed feelings. There was a bit of confidence, but there was also a lot of fear because of the England squad, because of the players that England have, and I think after the game there was a lot of relief. I think you picked the right words, but also I think that team showed the resilience and the ruthlessness that you need to have to win a World Cup, and I think this is where England have to improve as well. And Southgate himself, at times last night we were in the stands and we were watching, and I could only see the resilience and the ruthlessness in the French camp, not so much on the bench for England. I don't think Gareth has it, or certainly not enough, and certainly not the players. And I think what the French are really good at, and Theo made a stupid foul on Mason Mount for the penalty, but is to try to cut the emotion out of the game. And I think you look at Jude Bellingham last night, he was great and he's such an amazing player, but every time there was a decision going against him, it was the end of the world. Yeah. And I think the emotions got to them a lot when the French stayed calm, and because they've been there before as well, to be fair, but they stayed calm, they never panicked even under pressure, and they knew at some point the chance would come. The first one came and Pickford made a good save, a save that you expect him to make. And I saw Giroud after the game and he said, you know what, I was praying God to give me another chance. And he came on that second phase of the corner after the Pickford save, and that header is just, the cross is magnificent from Griezmann, who was outstanding and has been outstanding in that new position that he didn't even play a month ago.
Correct.
And then obviously the goal.